Hello, and welcome to Makeshift Movie Theater, the show where we try to watch iconic movies and expand our minds by watching them as they were meant to be, in a movie theater. Of course, we don't have a movie theater, but with a bedsheet, a projector, and a couple of friends, we got the next best thing. I am, of course, Mike, and this is my co-host, Gabby. Now, tonight's movie is Interstellar. We hope you enjoy it. So tonight's movie was Interstellar by Christopher Nolan, most famously known for the Batman movies, right? The dark and gritty stuff. It starts off with a farmer who's making corn.
The blight has struck okra. The only thing left to grow is corn, which was, everybody's growing corn because it's sturdier of a crop than, other things.
There's massive dust storms all the time, and they realize this planet's not going to make it, probably. At least not with humans on it. Matthew McConaughey's family ends up, through a mysterious message, stumbling upon the modern day NASA.
Yeah. Which, was all but gone as far as anybody was concerned. So.
Because it was a big waste of money and time for these people who all had to resort to farming just to survive.
Yeah, as far as popular opinion was considered, it was a giant waste of time. There was a little bit in there with like a parent-teacher conference about the Matthew McConaughey's daughter, Murph, where she, I guess, had brought a book about the moon landing to school and was getting suspended for it because the moon landing was fake.
It was fake, yeah.
The Apollo missions were fake to bankrupt the Soviet Union.
They don't put any stock in NASA anymore. And
they don't put in any stock in anything extra at all.
Yeah.
There's no extravagance to anything.
Because public opinion wouldn't allow spending on space exploration. Not when you're struggling to put food on the table.
So we meet Anne Hathaway and Michael Caine.
Oh, and her wall-shaped robot is like interrogating him.
Marked on your map. Where did you get those coordinates? Where's my daughter? Don't make me take you down again. Sit down.
When you first see it, it looks really lame. You're like, this is a robot? This looks stupid.
Yeah, and it like folds in a couple places, and its like weird little motor system is like hinging along, trying to... Oh, it's weird. But
like a Minecraft villain or something.
Yeah.
They tell him the world's dying, but we managed to find a wormhole.
But wormholes don't occur naturally. Someone had to have left it.
They go through on their ship.
Him, Anne Hathaway, and a couple of other guys.
Two other...
funny beard from Hunger Games.
I wish I remembered their names. Maybe I do. No, I don't. There was this really cool moment where he's sitting there talking, Matthew McConaughey and the other astronaut, and they kind of get up on it. It's right behind, like, right on the edge of Saturn's rings, and it's like this weird, distorted circle, or, like, sphere. He's like, why is it a sphere? And he explains, he folds the paper in half, and he's like, this is how everybody explains wormholes. He's like, point A, point B, we just crossed all this space. But you gotta realize space is three-dimensional. Well...
What's a circle in 3 dimensions? Sphere. Exactly.
I liked the way that all of the science was approached, because it didn't feel condescending, but it didn't feel like, here's a bunch of jargon so that you know nothing about this, which a lot of, like, science or sci-fi movies do.
That was a big problem when this first came out. A lot of people were complaining that the science wasn't exactly sound in this movie. But I would just chalk that up to it being more of a hero's tale of a man trying to save his family.
Yeah, and you have to accept...
Or trying to save what he has, and realizing at the end that it doesn't matter, he's not going to be able to do that anyway, he's just going to be able to affect the bigger picture. And if his family gets lost in the mix, that's how it goes.
A lot of the science, nothing raised a huge red flag as like, that's absolute BS,
Right.
Like, that's totally wrong.
Also, how did no one notice the space shuttle leaving Earth?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I'd be raising Cain if we shut down the space missions And then suddenly there's a spaceship
Yeah,
flying up
especially
out of the corn.
With public opinion so far against it, that's a good question.
we get to the wormhole.
Mm-hmm.
We get to the first planet, which seems to be like an ocean planet.
They pop out, the robot comes out, and they realize that this planet is completely covered in water. Anne Hathaway has a line about, we can make for those mountains over there, and we have this whole Star Wars moment where he goes, "That's no moon."
Yeah.
And we find out it's a wave, a huge
It's,
wave.
You know, hundreds of feet high.
So they get there, find the wreckage of this other astronaut ship, and she's like, "We gotta recover her data, we gotta get her black box."
And nearly gets everybody killed.
In
Good old goddamn-it woman fashion.
She's written really
1960s. Yeah, she's just written very, I fell in love with this guy, so we're gonna risk everything to go blah, 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 blah. And you're just sitting there going, damn it, woman. You're a scientist.
Damn it, woman, you don't need to go back for her data. The robot has already discovered it's this one message.
So Anne Hathaway ends up getting whatever she's looking for. She falls over, and she's never going to get away from the danger in time.
Yeah, no
so
good
this
time.
robot just opens up and suddenly becomes this badass, like, trotting creature thing.
Then he folds her up and just starts, like, trotting. It was cool. It was really
very
cool. And I liked the surprise of, oh, you wondered why Tars went after to save her, because we see him
as a clumsy
thumping
robot.
around.
it was fantastic.
It was great. Then we get to the second planet.
Mm-hmm.
And at first they think it's fine. But it's not. I don't want to give away too much.
So they lost one guy in the giant wave because of the goddamn it woman moment.
Three humans and 2 robots. Because they have Case and Tars. And then
I feel a little bad that I remember the robots' names offhand, but not the humans.
I remember Matthew McConaughey's name is Cooper.
yeah.
I couldn't tell you his first name.
We get to the second planet. It does not go well for anybody involved.
Yeah, they land there and find Matt Damon.
Matt Damon makes a cameo in this movie.
Surprise.
Or it's not really a cameo. It's
a character.
It's an integral part.
Yeah.
It's weird. This cast is really sort of recognizable faces in rather small parts. Like Topher Grace is in this.
Yeah, briefly.
Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Michael Caine. Well, Michael Caine plays the aforementioned old person. John Lithgow is the father-in-law. There's a lot of recognizable faces in this.
Matt Damon's been on this planet. And it was another odd mention. You said something about all the Marine units were decommissioned. Matt Damon's robot has been disassembled, which we later find out why, and it's a much darker reason than he initially says, but he says that there was a software malfunction, which I think you and I exchanged a meaningful look at that moment of, we're going to have a Hal moment, somebody's going to get, betrayed by the robot because of the software malfunctions.
There was definitely a couple of times in this movie where they specifically said that type of unit had a habit of going off the record, off its programming, getting a little weird. And they never used that. They never pay it off.
It never paid off.
Ooh.
That's another thing. A lot of people said this movie dragged.
Really?
That's what I hear on the interwebs, was that this movie dragged a lot. But I
didn't feel that way.
I couldn't think of a moment where it felt like it was dragging, except for one, when Matt Damon's trying to get on the ship.
Yeah.
Getting through the airlock and stuff, and I was like, God, can this scene be over with?
But then it suddenly was. I really appreciated that.
So the end of this movie is very, very, very dense. But it makes a lot more sense than 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
There's no flying fetuses, just above Earth.
Yeah, no.
Weird acid. It was a little acid trippy, but it was more like a kaleidoscope than aggressive neon colors.
Straight neon colors and screechy sounds for 10 minutes. It made a lot of sense to me. A lot of people complain that this movie, the end of it does not make sense, and I think it did.
I think so too. And there was a purpose to it. It wasn't 2001 in that it's this sort of dysphoria invoking weirdness. There was a purpose. There was plot throughout the weird part.
It was disconcerting, but it made sense.
Yeah.
And even the disconcertion made sense. It just felt really engaging.
Yep.
So I would definitely recommend this movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that was Interstellar. We hope you enjoyed yourself as much as we did. Join us next time when we watch another movie. I haven't figured out which one yet, but it's going to be good. Good night. Or afternoon. Or morning.
Yeah, trail off like that. The audience loves that.